throw down. Heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat. Emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night.
Hey, welcome in. How's everybody feeling? Good morning if you're listening. Today is Sunday, April 20th, the day after the night one for Wrestlemania 41. I'm going to go through night one. We'll talk briefly about night two, because we'll do probably a separate show just to kind of go through that. If I sound... I was thinking, and I've been thinking about this more and more, and the more I think about it, the anger I kind of get about it, and it's so silly to even do so, but I think it's because the amount of pats on the back that Triple H gives himself is incredibly fucking annoying. Shut the fuck up, basically, is what I want to say. Every time something good happens, obviously, first person to say, "Oh, we're recording an album of stories." Shut up. You didn't do shit here. You didn't do anything. Whenever something good happens, certainly pats himself on the back, and then when anything bad or anything is negative that's mentioned, the internet isn't real. People aren't real out there with their opinions, blah, 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 blah. Certainly real enough to change the main event and of last year's WrestleMania, though. That was real, right? Did a whole fucking internet special about how the fans impacted the WrestleMania by voicing their opinion online and in person about how dissatisfied they were that The Rock was going to come back and face Roman Reigns for the championship instead of Cody Rhodes. Now, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater here. I think there is a lot of good that did happen last night, and we'll talk about it too. I think you look at the match card. Well, there's a couple things. Let's go through the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm going to end on the positive note. So I'll start with the ugly, and that's the crowd that was there night one. Now, I know there is onus on the performers and etc. to kind of get the crowd involved, but good Lord, what an absolute... I forget what time it was, and I was like, oh my God, there's only 2 matches left. It was dead. There was little to no fanfare. I mean, there was only... I think it took us getting to the Jacob Fatu and LA Knight match before the crowd... before the crowd even popped a little bit for some of the spots. But we'll go through that. And when we look at this and we look at night 2, I think there should have been... Here's what I think. Here's what I think. Night 2 is stacked. I'm excited about it. It's stacked. You should have spliced in some of the night 1 card matches with the night 2 matches and vice versa. I think the way that the structure of this, night 2 is extremely packed. Night 1 is just, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches that I did not care about at all, of 7. Let's go through them. As we talked about the other night, and then we'll talk about some of the changes too and some of the bullshit stuff that's going on here. Clearly, collusion is afoot. Starts out mild with the World Heavyweight Championship, Jey Uso versus Gunther. I saw some dumbass fan online pointed out, people say Jay's only got 5 moves, he sucks at wrestling, blah, blah, blah. And now he's world champion. Now what are people going to say? None of those things changed. And I don't even think he's bad, obviously. I think he's good. But that statement is so stupid because it doesn't change anything of people's opinion. I think he'll be a placeholder champion until they figure out who's going to be the next guy. Because I'm sorry, he's not it. That match goes off as expected. Jey Uso wins the title, defeating Gunther. by submission, nonetheless, which I thought was an interesting choice. For Gunther to tap out, I mean, that certainly has future implications, I think, from a storytelling perspective, if these two lock up again. Who knows where Gunther goes from here, too? I mean, I don't think this hurts him at all. Maybe it gives him just a little bit of a break, and then he's on to his next feud. Anything that he touches right now with anybody is very good. And like I said, I'm not negative Jay. The crowd obviously loves him. I could not wait to see. Number one, it took him forever because of where they started him in the crowd to come down. Good Lord. But I could not wait to see, and this is the thing that bothered me too, like I said about the crowd, the ugly, right? Yes, they were doing the yeet thing, the thing with the hands, and I'm so tired of listening to Pat McAfee. God almighty, he's wearing thin on me. I used to like him a lot. Now it's like he's just trying to be different, to be annoying, to be different, and it's stupid. Um, but I was excited to see Jay come through the crowd, and I wanted to see all that stadium doing that move. I cannot believe they didn't get a better shot of the crowd doing the yeet thing. Um, so, anyways, you have that a lukewarm start, not terrible, but again, the crowd wasn't into it. I wasn't into it. And then the next match is the World Tag Team Championship. You got the New Day versus the War Raiders. God almighty. And again, everything I say here today, this is Wrestling with Emotions. Obviously, I'll say stupid shit and then I'll backtrack because it's just, I ride high on the emotional spectrum in terms of like anger first. So, why was this match even on WrestleMania? I'll say it and I'll say it again. Chelsea Green should have had a championship match at WrestleMania. And this tag team championship match did not need to be on here. Nobody cares. And the crowd tells you the same thing. Nobody absolutely cares about this. It got booed on Friday night on SmackDown when it was announced that it was going to take place. Booed and no reception. Nobody gave a shit during this match either. New Day wins by a little bit of shenanigans there, and they're the new tag team champions. Who cares? Another match of who cares. Jade Cargill defeats Naomi in a no shit match. Naomi, I love her. I think she's terrific. Heel Naomi's awesome. I think she's doing a great job with this. Jade is still Jade. She's one dimensional. Her moves and everything are, it is what it is. I mean, she's limited still. I was talking to somebody that I was watching this show with last night. All right, it was my wife, and she doesn't know anything. She knows this. She knows who Jade is because she used to see her when I would watch AEW, and used to be so like super impressed by physique. But that's all it is. That's where it all ends. And they used to be super critical when she moved over. I remember they did what they do, and they shit on AEW for not developing her. Blah 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 blah, which is absolutely false because they have done nothing to develop her here. And let me tell you this, folks: giving somebody a brand new entrance is not development. That's not where it ends. She's still doing the same handful of moves in the ring: the pump kick, her Beth Phoenix finisher, rip off, and that's it. This was just there was no doubt that she was going to win this match. Boring, done with. Naomi carried it, so good job to her. The next match, things start to kind of move a little bit, right? I think the crowd started to get into this finally, and that's the United States Championship match I mentioned with Jacob Fatu and LA Knight. A number of cool spots in this match. Really loved Fatu's moonsault into LA Knight's finisher. What is it called? The DT LAK, or I don't know what it's called, but it was awesome. The first of two car based entrances on the same night too. LA Knight pulls up, and later Charlotte Flair would pull up on a car. Wow, great job. This match was good though. Fatu wins, defeats LA Knight. I can't remember. I think I had LA Knight winning this, but wouldn't have been surprised if Fatu wins. So he's on to other things. And then the next match. Ugh. Originally slated to be El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. Rey, of course, injured on Friday Night SmackDown. And who else to replace him? Who else to replace him on a roster of men who have been there, year round, in and out of the trenches, all the tours, except for a guy who's been here 2 weeks, Rey Fenix. Let's get Rey Fenix in there. And this is no disparagement of Rey Fenix. He did the best that he could probably with what he was given with in terms of timing, and they did put together a really good match. So it wasn't that it was terrible, but again, this is a TV match, not a WrestleMania match, especially since El Grande Americano, I guess they're going to continue to ride this stupid train, maybe until Rey is healthy enough to pull the mask off of him himself. Maybe they didn't want Rey Fenix to be that guy, because my initial thought was like, obviously he'll be unmasked, and people will see that it's Chad Gable, blah, 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 blah. But there could have been numerous other people that could have taken this spot instead of Rey. And like I said, no offense to Rey, but he's been here 2 weeks. There are people on the roster who probably would have earned this spot more deserving than him. And again, I think showing why some of these guys, people will still continue to poop on AEW and how they kind of handled this. And I think they should have probably put a rocket ship on the Lucha Brothers. They were featured heavily, by the way, very early on and throughout their tenure there. So people who say that they weren't are ridiculous. But they're not singles competitors. I think Penta's a little bit more suited on the singles side. But Rey, to me, they're much better as a tag team. So I imagine that's the route that they'll eventually take down the line. Okay. So that's your first 5 matches. And like I said, I'm looking at the clock. I think it's 9:30 at this, or 9:15 by this time. And I'm like, man, this thing is going to I was like, this is going to end pretty early. It's interesting. I'm going to be able to record this last night and get it out pretty early. The next match was good. There was obviously some challenges throughout. We'll talk about that a little bit. But the WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Happy to say that Tiffany did go over with a clean pin. I think that's big for her. Like I said, I think it does more for her to win the match than for Charlotte at this particular point. Both women, I don't know if this was on purpose, probably was. Both women in very, very, very similar gear in terms of color and look. Tiffany came out in the Barbie style boxes, which looked pretty cool. And like I mentioned, Charlotte Flair pulls up like she's in the front of a hotel in a car. Okay. Why they had a bellhop there with luggage too. It made no sense. Some of the things just made no sense. Excuse me. Keeping it in. Keeping the cough in. But you had some spots that kind of got a little bit sloppy here, but that's, that is what it is. It's one of Charlotte's first matches back, and not to say that it was her fault. Obviously, I think, Tiffany still is very much developing in the ring, etc. It looked to me, Tiffany comes away not unscathed at all. She has a bump and a bruise on her head. It looked to me, I don't know if it was like she had blood or something on her tooth or it was completely chipped. But her mouth got rocked as well. But overall, really good showing by both of these ladies. Crowd not completely into it, but much better than some of the other matches during the night. And again, good to see Tiffany get the win. Super deserving. And interesting to see who and she ends up taking on next. And like we've talked about before, next month on, I think it's May 10th, we've already got Backlash. And typically, Backlash, for the most part, the pay-per-views right after WrestleMania are usually retreads of the matches that took place during WrestleMania for the most part. So there probably won't be any real surprises there. And then the night ends on a high note finally. This is the good. This is the good. And this is the stuff like all those other matches that were so limited build, limited storytelling. Um, Triple H will hang his hat and pat himself on the back for this final match of the night that everybody will be talking about, or is talking about now. So you've got the triple threat match with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. CBS Sports has this wrong. CM Punk did not win. During this match, just a quick recap. Back at War Games, CM Punk enters and helps the Bloodline win. With the request of one particular favor from Paul Heyman, and that unveiled recently to be he wants him in his corner at WrestleMania versus Roman Reigns. So CM Punk comes out to live in color. Roman Reigns comes out, solo for the first time. And Seth, of course, has his entrance. Good back and forth between all these guys. I thought the chemistry was really good. Ups and downs throughout the match. Really hard at some points to understand, or not to understand, but to figure out who was going to win. I thought going into this that CM Punk would be the winner. And I think this is a tip of the cap because to Triple H I pooped on. You like how I say poop and then I said fuck in the same show? But a tip of the cap because when we're looking at this, and anybody who's looking at this, Seth Rollins on paper is the third wheel almost, right? You think it's either going to come down to Roman or Punk. Seth Rollins doesn't really have a piece of this other than really his story or his attachment to both of these guys. So I even though when I talked about it, I think the other day, I think I talked about it too, like much similar to last year where he was the third wheel or fourth wheel in a tag team match on night one with Cody and The Rock and Roman. But ultimately it comes down to we'll fast forward towards the end of the match. You've got from a camera angle side, you got CM Punk down on the left side, Roman Reigns right front, and then Seth Rollins is in the back towards the entrance side. He asks Paul Heyman for the chair, or he offers it up, and then he slides it. They go like, and he acts like, who should I give it to, Roman or Punk? Slides it over to CM Punk, and then proceeds to enter the ring himself. Nutshots CM Punk to turn on him. The first pop from the crowd that was initially very super surprising to everybody. But is it surprising? I guess it was. But then he hands the chair over to Roman. Roman gets a couple of chair shots onto CM Punk. And then Paul acknowledges that Seth is for the taking. He's got his back to him, much like, the old Shield days when Rollins hit him from behind. So he goes to do a chair shot, and then he gets nutshotted and betrayed by Paul Heyman, who in turn quickly, and it was weird too. I don't know if his hand got stuck between his legs or he was really rubbing it in there. It looked weird on TV. Like his hand was either stuck between the dude's legs, or he was adding a little extra in there. It looked odd. But he nutshots Roman, and then he hands this chair to Seth, and Seth eventually, hits Roman, hits Punk as well, I believe. Maybe he didn't hit Punk, but he definitely hits Roman, and gets the pinfall, and then him and Paul Heyman leave together up the catwalk. So that was a high note, very unexpected, and a great way to end night one. Does it erase the other subsequent matches and hours that felt just like dragged out? No. But that's what I'm talking about when I say look at night two and how stacked this is. We'll even go top to bottom. You've got the undisputed championship match with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, money. The women's world championship match, Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, awesome. The Intercontinental Championship match, Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Penta, Dominic Mysterio. On paper, you're probably like, This is probably one of those busty matches. This one's going to be sick. It's going to be sick. Then, actually, you got the women's tag team match. Let's just cover this now. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez versus Lyra Valkyria, and was supposed to be Bayley. Announced yesterday, Bayley's been pulled from the match. They're doing some angle injury bullshit. Confirmed that she is not hurt. Confirmed that it's been in the works to pull her from the match. Mystery partner to show up. Clearly going to be Becky Lynch. I feel terrible for Bayley. I feel busted for her because she is, one of the OGs there. She doesn't seem to get, I don't know, maybe who knows what happens behind the scenes, right? There's probably a reason for it, and it could pay off. But it is kind of a drag if she's been completely removed from this just to serve an opportunity for Becky to come back during WrestleMania. I mean, why not? Unless they're going to win the titles, which would be weird because Lyra is already the Intercontinental Championship. I'm sorry, the Intercontinental Championship. Intercontinental champ. Good Lord, why am I fucking struggling on that? On the women's side. But I don't understand the reasoning. And then you got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Say what you want. I love AJ. Obviously, everybody does too. I think this, and I cannot stand Logan for the life of me. Not because he's a good heel, but because he's a terrible person. You got that match, and then you got Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, Sin City Street Fight, and then Randy Orton's Open Challenge, which if it's Rusev, fuck off. Get the fuck out of here. The guy sucks. Has zero charisma. He was nothing until his wife started fucking opening her mouth and helping him fucking get over. He is nothing. And he's fucking coming out of AEW where he thought he was supposed to be the shit and wouldn't put anybody over. Sucks. But look at those matches. You could have easily moved and spliced in some of those matches. Randy Orton's Open Challenge could have been last night, and you could have slid in anything could have replaced the World Tag Team Championship match tonight. But there are a number of matches where you could have been like, okay, this is a night one. We got to mix this up a little bit because night one feels and looks extremely flat. Night two is, like I said, stacked. I'm hoping for good things. And that's the bummer of it all because obviously, last year was terrific. And not to say that this is going to be bad, but aside from the final match last night, there's nothing super memorable about night one. Obviously, they always do it right. They always do it big when it comes to the stage, the spectacle, the storytelling, the vignettes, the stories. I think they always do a really great job. But man, did it feel like if I paid for night one to go see it live in person, I would, and I didn't and I didn't have night two on my belt, I would feel gypped. I would feel totally fucking gypped. But we'll see. Like I said, I'm excited for night two. It is packed with potential, and maybe that's the idea, going out on a super, super high note on night two, setting up Monday to kick off the next phase of the year. But good Lord, like I said, stop talking Triple H. And here's the thing. It may sound, I'm a wrestling fan. That's why this podcast is not branded as like a WWE podcast. It's not branded as a New Japan podcast. It's not branded as an AEW podcast. I will be critical and celebrate both sides of the coin. I grew up, like most people of my age, a gigantic WWF fan. I am of an age where I was able to transition from the sweet spot, which was the end of the 80s, where I still had the opportunity to see the OG dudes like Jake the Snake, Big Boss Man, Hogan, Prime Hogan, Ted DiBiase, The Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, Andre the Giant. Transition that into the new generation with Brett, Shawn, Diesel, Razor, into the Attitude Era, Stone Cold, DX, and at the same time being able to watch and see WCW transition as well. Because I was where I lived in Georgia, and obviously I think it's free everywhere in the country, or part of the basic programming, TBS, TNT. You would always get Saturday morning wrestling with WCW, or it would show up on random nights, and ESPN used to cover somebody too at the same time, but maybe it's the NWA. But there used to be wrestling all the time, and you could experience different companies. And then late night, when I was a kid or teenager, 97, 98-ish, I'm probably mixing some of the years, I'm terrible at years, on like the public broadcast channel, ECW would pop up. So I got exposure to that. So I had the opportunity to see and be a fan of everything. And that's what I am. So I love and look forward to this night, the pillar programs that WWE has: WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. I get pumped for all of those because I know they're always going to do it right. They're always going to do it big. So to have that type of expectation and then to have it kind of fall short is a bummer. And that's where, people and dumbass, again, Triple H has criticized, we're not gonna put on a 4-hour, 5-hour show, 6-hour show for wrestling. Well, say what you want. AEW gives the people their money's worth, and they have not put on a bad, knock on wood, they have not put on a bad program that I can remember from a pay-per-view standpoint. You get what you pay for, and you feel like you don't feel like you got gypped, top to bottom. Even like I mentioned last month or last couple of weeks over Dynasty, there were plenty of matches on that card that on paper, at face value, have been like, I don't really care. But they showed up and they crushed it. And they always do. Here, I hate when things kind of just feel rushed and thrown together. And that's kind of what some of this did feel like. So to be somebody that like pats yourself on the back, it's such an injustice and so hypocritical when the rest of your pay-per-view and the rest of your show was lackluster in comparison to your competitors. And then you openly and honestly always trying to fucking derail or shit on what they're doing. And I know there's stones thrown from both sides. I completely understand that. But it is what it is. But again, I don't want to sound completely furious and annoyed, because I'm really not. I'm just disappointed because I really thought it was going to be something else that more than I thought it could be. So with that said, I am excited for tonight. I am looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. I'm sorry if this came across super hot. But again, I just really am looking for something exciting. So I hope you guys enjoy night 2. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What you thought of night 1. Is there anything you would have changed? Maybe you loved it. Maybe you loved it top to bottom and there was nothing you would change. Which is completely fine, to each his own. So, awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, enjoy night 2, and we'll be talking to you.
Out in the ring where we throw down, heartbeats racing, can't slow down. Feel the tension, feel the heat, emotions hitting on repeat. Wrestling win with our inner fight. In the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world, emotions crash. spin. In the chaos we begin, finding strength that's deep inside, facing fears we cannot hide. Wrestling with our inner fight, in the spotlight every night. Voices shout and bodies clash. In this world emotions crash. Every grapple, every hold tells a story to be told. Raw and real and full of fire, pushing through the darkest mire. Wrestling with our inner fight, in the spotlight